Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Good Shabbos to each of you. As we come into the main sanctuary this morning, we reflect on our blessings as we are full of gratitude for this day, a day of rest and joy, which enables us to create a separation from all that may have occurred during the week. And on this Shabbat morning, we are especially grateful as Kady and Claire are called to the Torah as Benot Mitzvah. We're pleased to welcome family and friends who have joined us here today in person in our sanctuary, and also those joining us via live stream. In front of you, you should find our prayer book. Throughout the service, we will invite you to participate in our songs, our Hebrew prayers, and English translations. In the prayer book, you will also find at the bottom of each page some commentary to enhance your understanding of our worship experience this morning. A special note to all of Kady and Claire's friends who are here, and to everyone, we ask that you silence any cell phones you may have brought with you this morning, and please refrain from using them during the service for any purpose. Cantor will now continue.
Our service begins on page 74, Ma Tovu Ohalecha Yaakov. Ma Tovu, Ma Tovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael, Ma Tovu. Va'ani berov chastecha avo veitecha eshtachavecha kodshecha be'iratecha ma tovu ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Israel, Adonai ahavti me'on beitecha u'mekom mishkan kivodecha va'ani eshtachaveh ve'efra evrecha lifnei Adonai. Israel, va'ani tefilati lecha, Adonai ein ratzon, Elohim berov chesdecha, Elohim berov chesdecha, aneni be'emet ish echad, ma tovu. Mishkenotecha Yisrael, ma tovu, ma tovu, ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael, Mishkenotecha Yisrael.
Continue on page 75.
May the one whose spirit is with us in every righteous deed be with all who work for the good of humanity and bear the burdens of others, and who give bread to the hungry, who clothe the naked, and take the friendless into their homes. May the work of their hands endure, and may the seed they sow bring abundant harvest. Please turn to page 108 for our call to worship. Baruch Hu, please rise.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Page 110. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Yotzer or uverei hoshech, oseh shalom uverei et hakol. Hameir la'aretz v'ladarim alecha barachamim. Uvetuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reshit. Ma rabu ma'asecha Adonai, kulam b'chokma asita, mal'a ha'aretz kinyanecha. Tit barach Adonai Eloheinu, al sheva ma'aseh yadecha ve'al me'orei or she'asita yifa'arucha selah. Or chadash al Tzion ta'ir v'nizkeh kulanu mehei ra lehoro baruch atah Adonai yotzer ha'me'orot. We continue on page 113. Love your neighbor as yourself, you said. In light blinded we saw that inner and outer worlds are one. As you are one, you spoke and we wrote. We reached for you down the centuries, your light moving before us. As we climbed, fell back, and climbed again. Your Sinai of life. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher be'ahamo Yisrael be'ahava. Page 114.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
Please be seated, page 116. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu ha'devarim ha'elech asher anochi mitzaveha hayom al levavecha v'shinamtam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'aderech u'shofbecha u'v'kumecha u'ktartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha L'man tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim le'elochehem. Ani Adonai Elochehem asher hotzeitiechem me'eretz Mitzrayim li'yot lachem Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohehem. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away. When you lie down and when you get up, bind them as a sign on your hand and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God. Please turn to page 121. We read responsibly. The eternal truth is that you alone are God and there is none else.
May the righteous of all nations rejoice in your love and exult in your justice.
Let them beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks.
Let nation not lift up sword against nation, nor learn war anymore.
You shall not hate your brother or your sister in your heart.
The
Stranger that sojourns with you shall be accepted as your equal, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt.
Why do you crush my people and oppress the poor? Asked God.
We know that the Eternal One defends the poor and upholds the rights of the needy.
Praise to God Most High.
Blessed is God and deserving of blessing. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar hakodesh, nora tehilot ol sefer shira chadasha shimechu geulim לשמחה שפת הים יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. צור ישראל קומה בעזרת ישראל ופתחן אומך יהודה וישראל. גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו קדוש ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני גואל ישראל.
Rock of Israel, rise in support of Israel, and redeem Judah and Israel as you promised. Our Redeemer, Adonai Tsevaot, is your name. Blessed are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Gael Yisrael.
We continue now with our tefillah on pages 124, 126, and 128. Please rise. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'koneh Hakol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot ve'imahot, U'mevi Geula livnei v'neihem, L'man Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Be'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol atah, Rav Lehoshia. Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofei Holim, Umatir asurim. Umechayim emunato lishek ne'afar. Michamocha bal gevurot. Umidomela. Melech memit umechayeh. Umatzmiach Yeshua. V'ne'emana talachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai mechayeh hakol. We read together in the middle of page 128. You are forever mighty, Adonai. You give life to all. You sustain life through love, giving life to all through great compassion, supporting the fallen, healing the sick, freeing the captive, keeping faith with those who sleep in the dust. Who is like you, source of mighty acts? Who resembles you, a sovereign who takes and gives life, causing deliverance to spring up, and faithfully giving life to all? Blessed are you, Adonai, who gives life to all. Page 130.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאיך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך הארץ, כבודו, אדירנו אדוני, אדוננו, מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהיך ציון, לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושיבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש, לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
To all generations we will declare your greatness, and for all eternity proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O God, shall never depart from our lips. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Please be seated. Page 132.
ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. מקרשי שבי שבת, כולם ישבעו ויתענגו מטובך שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. והשביעי רצית בו וקידשתו שבת. חמדת ימים אותו קראת שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 Shabbat dekore oneg Shabbat Yismechu v'malechutecha Shomrei Shabbat dekore oneg Shabbat Zeicher Lemase Bereshit Shad Zeicher Lemase Bereshit Shabbat Yismechu v'malechutecha Shomrei Shabbat dekore oneg Shabbat Yismechu v'malechutecha Shomrei Shabbat dekore oneg Shabbat.
Those who keep Shabbat by calling it a delight will rejoice in your realm. The people that hallows Shabbat will delight in your goodness. For being pleased with the seventh day, you hallowed it as the most precious of days, drawing our attention to the work of creation. Page 135. We offer thanks, O God, for this Shabbat which unites us in faith and hope, for Shabbat holiness which inspires sacred living, for Shabbat memories glowing even in darkness, for Shabbat peace born of friendship and love. We offer thanks and blessing, O God. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat. Page 137. On this holy Shabbat, may we draw near to life, to peace, and to joy. May we find true rest, holiness in our deeds, worth in our study of Torah. Let us feed on the love of goodness. Let us drink from the love of goodness, restrain our thirst for excess, and cleanse our hearts to serve life well. On this holy Shabbat, may we draw nearer in life, in peace, and in joy. Page 138. Modim anachnu lach sha'ata hu Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu leolam va'ed. Sur chayenu mageni shenu ata hu lador vador. Nodel lacha unsaper techilatecha al chayenu hamsurim be'adecha ve'al nishmotenu hapekudot lach ve'al nisecha shebechol yom imanu ve'al niflotecha v'tovotecha shebechol et erev vavoker v'tzohoraim. Hatov ki lo chalu rachamecha v'hamarachem ki lo tamu chasadecha me'olam kivinu lach. Ve'al kulam itbarach v'itromam shimcha malkenu tamid leolam va'ed. V'chol hachayim yoducha sela v'halalu et shimcha be'emet. Ha'el Yeshuatenu ve'ezratenu sela. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulacha nae lehodot. We read together in the middle of the page. We acknowledge with thanks that you are Adonai, our God, and the God of our ancestors forever. You are the rock of our lives and the shield of our salvation in every generation. Let us thank you and praise you for our lives which are in your hand, for our souls which are in your care, for your miracles that we experience every day, and for your wondrous deeds and favors at every time of day, evening, morning, and noon. O good one whose mercies never end, O compassionate one whose kindness never fails, we forever put our hope in you. For all these things, O sovereign, let your name be forever praised and blessed. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm you and praise your name in truth. Blessed are you, Adonai, your name is goodness, you are worthy of thanksgiving. Page 140. Grant peace, goodness, and blessing, grace, kindness, and mercy to us and to all your people Israel. Bless us, our Creator, all of us together, through the light of your presence. Truly, through the light of your presence, O Adonai, our God, you gave us a Torah of life, the love of kindness, justice, and blessing, mercy, life, and peace. May you see fit to bless your people Israel at all times, at every hour, with your peace. Praised are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace.
Sim shalom, tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim v'rachamim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol Yisrael amecha, barcheinu yotzreinu kulanu ke'echad, ve'or panecha, ki ve'or panecha natatanu, Adonai Eloheinu. Sim shalom, tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim v'rachamim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol Yisrael amecha, Torah chaim ve'ahavat chesed, ve'ahavat chesed, u'tzedaka uvracha v'rachamim v'chaim v'shalom. Sim shalom, tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim v'rachamim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol Yisrael amecha, v'tov be'einecha levarech et amecha Yisrael, b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שים שלום, טובה וברכה, חן וחסד ורחמים ורחמים עלינו, ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל ישראל עמך.
We pray silently.
Ose shalom bimromav hu ya'ase shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Ose shalom bimromav Ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Israel ve'imeru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Israel ve'imeru amen.
In our prayer book, we turn to page 244 as we prepare for the reading of Torah. Ein kamocha Elohim Adonai ve'ein kama'asecha malchutcha malchut kol olamim umemshaltecha b'chol dor v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai varech et amo va'ashalom. There is none like you among the gods, Adonai, and there are no deeds like yours. You are sovereign over all worlds, and your dominion is in all generations. Adonai reigns, Adonai has reigned. Adonai will reign forever and ever. Adonai will give strength to our people. Adonai will bless our people with peace. It's a privilege now to call to take their place on the bema with us to open the doors of the Holy Ark. Michelle and Cliff Blyden, please come forward. As well, to stand by the reading table here to undress the Torah with us, Belinda and Rich Muller. And as we turn to page 248 and open the doors of the Holy Ark, we rise.
Harachamim, Heitiva virtzonecha, et Zion, Tivneh Chomot Yerushalayim, Ki becha levad batachnu, Adon olamim.
Avogodol Eloheinu unuchavol aTorah. Let us declare the greatness of our God and give honor to the Torah.
Ki mitzion tetzei Torah. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah. Udehar Adonai mirushalayim. Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah. Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah. Le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Gadlul Adonai iti uneromima, Shemo yachdav. Lecha Adonai hagenula, ve'hagevura, ve'atiferet, ve'hanetzach, ve'ha'od. Ki chol b'shamayim u'va'aretz, ki chol b'shamayim u'va'aretz. Lecha Adonai ha'mamlaka, ve'hamid na'aseh l'chol derosh.
On this Shabbat morning, our Torah reading comes from the book of Deuteronomy, beginning in chapter 22, verse 1, in the portion called Ki Tetzei. It's a privilege now to call to the bema to recite the blessings, giving thanks to God for the gift of Torah, Ava Rogal and Bernie Reingold. Please come forward.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Lo tir'eh et shor achicha o et seo nidachim v'hitalamta mehem hashev teshivim la'achicha ve'im lo karov achicha elecha ve'lo yidato va'asafto el toch beitecha v'haya imaha ad dorosh achicha oto v'hashivoto lo v'chen ta'aseh l'chamuro v'chen ta'aseh l'simlato v'chen ta'aseh l'chol avodat achicha asher tovat mimenu umatzata lo tucha lehitalem lo tir'eh et chamor achicha o shoro noflim v'derech v'hitalamta mehem hakim imo lo yiyech hali gever alisha v'lo yobash gever simla isha ki toavat Adonai Elohecha kol osei elech ki yikare kansipur lefanecha v'derech v'chol etz o haaretz Ephraim o veitzim v'ha'em rovetzet o ha-Ephraim o ha-veitzim lo tikach ha'em o habanim shaleach teshalach et ha'em ve'habanim tikach la למען ייטב לה והערבת ימים.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nota b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
And now it is my honor to invite you officially to the Torah as bat mitzvah for the first time. Na la'amod, habachua bat mitzvah, cadence bat John Olivia, chizki.
Baruch et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher barha banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Ki tivneh bayit chadash v'asita ma'akeh legagecha v'lo tasim damim beveitecha ki po hanafel mimenu lo tizrach karmeha kilayim pentigda המלאה הזרה אשר תזרע ותבואת הכרם לא תחרוש ובשור בחמור יחדיו לא תלבש שעטנית זמר ופשתים יחדיו גדילים תכסה בלח על ארבע כנפות כשפתך אשר תכסה בה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורה אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen.
Beautiful, beautiful. Give the cantor a hand. Our Torah reading continues in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 24, beginning at verse 10. And it's a privilege to call on Julie and Richard Schwarz to recite the blessing as once more we give thanks to God for the gift of Torah.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amin v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Ki tashet v'reacha mashat ma'uma lo tavo al beito la'avot avoto bachutz ta'amod v'hayish asher ata noshevo yotzi elecha et ha'avot hachutza v'im ish oni hu lo tishkav ba'avoto hashev tashiv lo et ha'avot kevo hashemesh v'shachav b'salmato uveracheka ulacha tiet tzedakah lifnei Adonai Elohecha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Stay right here.
And now it is my honor to officially invite you to the Torah as bat mitzvah for the very first time. Na la'amod, habachura bat mitzvah, Rivka bat Richard v'Julie, Chizki.
Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen.
Lo ta'ashot sachir oni ve'evyon me'achecha o migerecha asher ba'artzaha b'sha'arecha be'omo titein secharo v'lo tavo alav hashemesh Ki oni hu ve'elav hu nosei et nafsho v'lo yikra alecha el Adonai v'haya v'chachein lo yumetu avot al banim uvanim lo yumetu al avot ish bechet oho yumatu lo tate mishpat ger yatom velo tachavol beged almana v'zacharta ki eved hayita b'mitzrayim vayivtecha Adonai Elohecha misham al kain Anochi mitzavecha la'asot et hadavar hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'haye olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. It's a privilege to invite Alex Schwarz and Riley Schwab to join me here to assist in dressing the Torah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'neviim tovim v'ratza v'divrechem hane'emarim be'emet Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah u'v'Moshe avdoho u'v'Yisrael amaho u'v'nvi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek. Our Haftarah comes from Isaiah chapter 54, verses 1 through 3. Roni akara lo yalada pitchi rina v'tzahali lo chala ki rabim b'nei shomema mi b'nei ve'ulaha Amar Adonai Harchivi Mekom Aholech Viriot Mishkenotaich Yatu Al Tachsochi Harichi Metaraich Vitedotaich Chazeki Ki yamin usmo tifrotzi vezarech goyim yirash ve'arim neshamot Yoshivu.
Our Haftarah continues with verse 4 through 6. Al tiri kilo tevoshi ve'al tiklami kilo tachpiri kivoshet alumaich tishkachi ve'cherpat amenutaich lo tizkri od ki vo'alaich osaich Adonai Tzivaot Shemo ve'go'aleich Kidosh Yisrael Elohei Chol ha'aretz Yikareh Ki cheisha azuva va'atzuvat ruach kira'ach Adonai ve'eshet neurim ki tima'es amar Elochaich Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Sor kol haolamim Sadik bechol hadorot Ha'el hane'eman Ha'omer v'oseh Hamedaber u'mekayem Shekol devarav Emet v'tzedek. For the Torah, for the privilege of worship, for the prophets, and for this Shabbat, that you, Adonai, our God, have given us for holiness and rest, for honor and glory, for everything. Adonai, our God, we thank and bless you. May your name be blessed forever by every living being. Praise to you, Adonai, for the Sabbath and its holiness.
Amen. So now you're up for your speech. You can sit down. Yeah, you're first. Yeah, you can sit down.
My Torah portion is a warning against indifference. This means being a good neighbor or citizen by returning lost property and upholding the responsibility to help those in need. As a Jew, it is my job to read and abide by God's commandments listed in the Torah. In my Torah portion, God's commandments listed in the Torah. In my Torah portion, God tells us that if you have found something that doesn't belong to you, you shall keep it and take it to home until you have found the rightful owner and return what they have lost. In the Torah, God uses an example with an ox to show responsibility and maturity to take care and compassion in returning the animal. Now, I'm not an animal, but I am a middle child of 3, so I care a lot about my younger brother Jack, but he's a mess who's actually really good at baseball. I take responsibility in caring for him, but he has a major health allergy. As his older sister, I often take responsibility by simply making sure his meal or food doesn't have any nuts in it. In it, I care a lot about my community, and I would never want any unwanted harm to disturb it. So just by doing the right thing and taking precautions for others, I can do good for my community around me. This applies to me as a connection to middle school. Since I'm in 8th grade, I've learned that when you come across situations as simple as borrowing a pencil or giving it back, or turning in homework and turning it on time can really mean a lot. Even though these situations are so simple, they can really show how important and considerate it is to do the right thing. I would love to thank every single person who has helped me be ready for my B'nai Mitzvah and my B'nai Mitzvah partner, Claire. But to name a few, I would especially like to thank my parents and grandparents, but also my camp family. Every single one of you means so much to me, and I'm so grateful you are all here today. You all helped me at my lowest and made me laugh at my best. You mean so much to me now and the brave woman I am to become. I love you so much, and I thank you even more. And now a special prayer to God. I pray there are enough people in the world that do good and pay it forward by setting a positive example towards others, to do the right thing and set a positive example towards others in their community. The end.
The part of the Torah that I read today is about people. This week's entire portion covers a lot of important topics, but my part is focused on human beings, mainly about helping people who are in need and how that ties into justice. Throughout the full Kady portion, there are lots of different examples and situations, but justice is one of the main themes of this week's whole portion, and definitely a big part of my particular section. In other words, my Torah portion teaches a lesson that's really important and one that we sometimes forget to follow: to help people. It's easy to feel bad for someone, easy to think that somebody should help them, but actually doing something is still hard thousands of years after it was written in the Torah to do so. The Torah teaches this through examples of people who need something you can give, and then it explains how to help them and why. The very end of the part of Kady that I read today says, "Remember that you were a slave in Egypt, and that the eternal your God redeemed you from there. Therefore do I enjoin you to observe this commandment." I wasn't a slave in Egypt, but our ancestors were. And just like how if some of us were slaves in Egypt long ago, we were all slaves in Egypt, then if some of us are in need, we're all in need. So this quote means to help other people just like you would help yourself, because we're all part of this huge group of people. The theme of my Torah portion is probably best explained by the Hebrew words lo tuchal lehitalem, which mean you must not remain indifferent. It's one of the teachings from our sages that we are not permitted to look the other way, to pass by without paying attention, or to continue with our business as usual. Hiding the truth from ourselves and not acting to help others is immoral, indifference is intolerable, responsible caring is at the heart of Jewish ethics. I agree that it's always important to help everyone who you have the power to help, and that no one should just walk by and pretend nothing happened. It matters to me personally because I've always been bothered when I see people on the streets who need help and nobody pays attention. My Mitzvah project is helping the Houston Food Bank, which gives hungry people access to food, and ever since I began studying Torah, I've noticed that when doing regular, everyday things, there might be someone who needs something. Before, these things weren't especially important to me. If someone fell over, they could get up without my help. But now, every time I think about going on with my business and pretending I didn't see anything, I remember that I must not remain indifferent. Even if it's something little, I should go help. Studying this Torah portion has changed the way I think about other people for the better. Finally, I'd like to say a prayer of thanks to God for just being here today. There's so many things to be grateful for that they won't all fit in this speech. So I'm just going to say that I'm thankful for being able to be thankful for them. And I want to say thanks for all of the times people have decided not to look the other way, decided to help someone else. If we continue to do this, the world will have someone to be grateful for. We can all help each other up when we're down, all help to be a force of good in this ginormous world. So I'm grateful for that. Shabbat Shalom.
Kady, come and join us here. Kady and Claire, this is such a beautiful bat mitzvah experience for all of us to make a Shabbat morning as Rabbi Scott begins a service and tells us it's a separation from a busy week. It truly has been, and you helped us to put a spotlight on exactly its meaning. Both of you first are wearing beautiful talitot. Kady, your talit comes from Green Family Camp, and you wear it with such pride because your friends at camp are actually sharing this talit, this prayer shawl that you have around your neck and that you've used to help you focus on the meaning of this day will be shared with other friends at camp at their bar and bat mitzvahs in the future too. So you wear it with great pride, and I'm glad. Kady, you also read from the prayer book and from the Torah so carefully. You were prepared so beautifully. And what I heard you say, and I'm going to come to you as well because you referenced it, the beautiful verse in your Torah portion, lo tuchal lehitalem, should not be forgotten because it means you shouldn't be indifferent. And what I've learned in the past is that from Elie Wiesel, who made very famous, that it's one thing to love, but the opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. Because it's a great thing to love, and you have so many reasons to love and to feel loved. The opposite of love is hate, and hate is okay. It's a feeling. We can transform hate, we can turn it. But to be indifferent means not to care. And Kady, you are the opposite of somebody who doesn't care. You care deeply. I'm sure there are things that you love, and there are things that you don't like so much. And maybe you'll learn to like them a little bit better in the future. But now as a bat mitzvah, you have a responsibility to care one way or the other, to have an opinion about everything. Because what we need from you more than ever in the future is that a person who has an opinion about where things are going in the world, and you can never hide yourself or feel indifferent about the world around you. But what we've heard from you and experienced from you is that you have a heart of gold, you have a mind filled with increasing wisdom, and you're going to use it as the young Jewish woman that you are to help shape the world into what it ought to be. I don't want to lay that whole responsibility on your shoulders alone. You are a part of a rich, beautiful heritage in Judaism. Here at Congregation Beth Israel, at Green Family Camp, in all the places you go, you bring with you who you are becoming. And we are delighted in all that we see on the way to your becoming the full Jewish adult that you should be one day. Kady, we're so proud of you, and I know that your parents and grandparents, as we say in Yiddish, shep nachas, they're sharing joy that's overflowing because of this day. Mazel tov to you. And Claire, so beautifully too, and I love your talit. I think everyone should know that the beautiful pomegranates that are intertwined in the design are actually a beautiful Jewish symbol. Because pomegranates, if you cut one open one day when you have a little extra time, and have time to count all the seeds, some say that a pomegranate contains 613 seeds, like the number of mitzvot, the number of commandments in the Torah. And pomegranate juice is sweet, like all the teachings of Torah too. But you made clear to us that in all the rituals and all the rules that you read in the Torah portion, many of them had nothing to do with lighting candles or saying a prayer. No ritual matters to speak of truly. They were all about how we treat each other as human beings. Because God doesn't need a candle lit to prove that we are faithful. God needs us to be good to each other and to do mitzvahs that really connect us on an ethical and moral basis. And I loved your reference to the past. It's true, you didn't come out of Egypt, neither did I, but our people did. And we are the inheritors of that great tradition, which moves us to understand the heart of the stranger. And there are strangers all around us. But we know the heart of the stranger because we were once strangers in the land of Egypt. And your reference too to the verse that Kady read in the Torah, Lo tuchal lahitalem, makes you also one who will not hide herself in the future, but bear witness to the teachings of Torah by being a faithful mitzvah doer. You will be conscious of the people around you who need a little help, a hand out, a leg up, but also a caring heart. And what we've come to know about you as well, Claire, your parents and grandparents know it so well, how thoughtful you are, a good student, a fine person. We just can't wait for you to grow up even more to see all that you can do. So I appreciate your sense of history and heritage and the very important role that you play as a bat mitzvah, a daughter of the commandments who's growing up beautifully as a young Jewish woman to take her place in leadership, to inspire, and help all of us know that in God's presence we have a lot to do and even more to be. Mazel tov to you, Claire. I just couldn't be prouder of both of you together. And in honor of all that you've done, we have these tokens of our appreciation and happiness. First, for each of you, a Kiddush cup from the sisterhood, which you can take home and raise at your Sabbath table and on special sacred occasions to sanctify those moments. These are certificates that say Mazel Tov from Kehillah High. And Kehillah High is our community high school program between Beth Israel, Beth Yeshurun, and Bris Shalom for 8th through 12th graders to come and continue to learn about their Jewish heritage, to meet other Jewish friends around the community, and one day to use these certificates to help pay for a trip with those friends to Israel, to return to the place where it all began, and to come home with a great sense of history and politics and heritage. But you know what else exists in Israel? You know those iPhones that you hold all day and never put down? Much of the technology, much of the ingenuity comes from Israel. And so it's an exciting and vibrant place that we want you to come home to share with us so we can continue to build a vibrant and beautiful congregation and Jewish community. And these are your certificates of Bat Mitzvah that say that each of you were called to the Torah to read from Kitei Tzei, not only to lead us, but to teach us and inspire us. And we are so proud of you. And now it's a privilege to call on Rabbi Scott and Cantor Feibush to join me in reciting a blessing, to extend to you the blessing of old, that it may go well with you today and for years to come. Turn and face us and the Holy Ark behind me so that we may extend to you now this special blessing.
Yevarechecha Adonai V'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and protect you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
May God's presence shine upon you and always be good to you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
May God grant you, Kady and Claire, all that you wish for yourselves, all that your parents and grandparents, family and friends wish for you too. May it always be long life, good health, mitzvah, and the greatest blessing of all, a lifetime to live in peace. Amen. Beautiful. Mazel tov. And now we prepare to return the Torah to the Holy Ark. It's a privilege to invite to the bima now Dan Schwab and Lainey Schwab to open the doors of the Holy Ark. If you'll come forward as we raise the Torah, we rise. Yehalalu et Shem Adonai ki nizgav shemo levado. Let us praise the name of the Lord, for God's name alone is exalted.
Eitz chaim hi, lama chazikim ba, v'tomcheha be'ushar diraveha darhenom, v'chol netivoteha Shalom, Hashivenu Adonai, Elecha v'nashuva, Chadesh Yameinu kekedem.
In our prayer book, we turn now to the bottom of page 282 and 287, and we join in Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shaveach la'adon hakol, la'tet gedula li'otzed breshit, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל עמונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו אחד.
We turn now to page 294. And as we do, we call to heart and to mind all of our loved ones who have departed from this earth and gone on to the peace of life eternal. And on this Shabbat, we are especially thinking of those members of Kady and Claire's family who are here with us today in spirit. Lovingly, we remember Ed Rossner, Robert Rogal, Francis Schwarz, Leonard Schwarz. In each of their honor and their memory, we join together now in the words of Kaddish. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, v'alma dirach Yerutei v'yamlich Malchutei, v'chayachon v'yomechon uv'chaye tehol Beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kari v'yimru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam almei almaya. Yit barach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yithaleh v'yithalal shemei kudesha b'richu. Le'olam min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechemata. Demiran bi'alma v'yimru Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabbah min Shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen. Oseh shalom b'romav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, and bring comfort to all of the bereaved among us, as together we say, Amen. Please be seated. At this time in our service, our formal prayers have ended, but our blessings continue. So I'd like to invite Kady to join me here on the lower bima, this time with your parents, so that they may share some personal words with you.
Kady Page, you were born on a beautiful Friday morning, a 9:23 a.m. arrival, much like today's routine of coaxing you out of bed downstairs 5 minutes past time to get to school. We couldn't love you more for it. Baby Cadence, you were born with preferences, not the baby to admire from a bassinet or from a bed. From the start, you had to be vertical, on a body, looking out, seeing what we see, experiencing the world at our level, with your own assessment of what the world is to you. You refused to be a standard. Dad and I quickly learned that this was your character, amazed to be wrapped around such small fingers. You have been such a joy and a pleasure to watch growing up to become the golden-hearted young lady you are. Your Torah portion could not have been more fitting. You are our family's keeper, our family's whisperer, possessing the inclination to do what is right, always, without restraint, all the things humanity could ask of you. From our assessments of today's standard, you outshine us all tenfold. As much as the world appreciates your golden-hearted goodwill, we admire that subliminal spice of yours, that sweet hostility that only your brother would know. And it was, in fact, you that gave him his first peanut butter cookie. Our prayer to God for you is for you to protect your convictions, your faith, and your personal desires. Protect your heart, but listen to your heart. Baby girl, our world needs more of you than you will ever understand. We are so proud of you. As much as we have watched you work so hard and so lovingly to accomplish today, congratulations. Baby, you're a firework.
Claire, now I'd like to invite you to come with your parents so that they may share some personal words with you.
Claire, Mom and I are so proud of you. This is such a exciting new time in your life, and we're so grateful for all the family and friends who are here to celebrate it with us. Ever since you were little, it's been a joy to watch you take on life with all of your energy and intensity and creativity. Mom and I would look at each other and say, what will she come up with next? And whatever it was would be a little surprising and entirely Claire and always amazing. And it would often involve really good chocolate in some way or some elaborate plot in collaboration with Alex that was incomprehensible to us, but that's a different story. But one of the things that we really appreciate is that you stop and take time to think about how to do the right thing and how to be kind and generous in your interactions with people. And it really shows in the nice relationships that you have with your friends, with your teachers, and in our family. We're so happy to be celebrating your bat mitzvah with you, and we can't wait to see what you come up with next. Mazel tov.
Now we'd like to invite Ava and your family to join us with all of your siblings, please, to gather together as we'll join over our blessings.
So we can all share our blessings of challah and wine. We ask you to rise and share our words as Kady and Claire lead us. Come and take your place. And as you raise the Kiddush cup, we share the familiar blessing. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam,
Borei peri hagafen.
Amen. Now we can uncover the challah and share the blessing.
Baruch
atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Good Shabbos. Shabbat.